Well, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including some upcoming videos that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Plays. We will be giving you a brief back update. We've had some people asking about how I'm doing with all that. Don't want to bore you, but we'll get into that a little bit. A little trip that my fiance and I are planning in a couple weeks, just a very, very short little weekend trip, but it's to a place that means a lot to me, that had a big influence on me as I was growing up in my childhood. That should be interesting. And then we'll talk about the unmasking of the United States and how that's going, how that has been sort of slowly rolling out as people have been getting vaccinated, and how it's been just sort of experiencing that again. Seeing people's faces. It's been kind of interesting. And then of course we will have your questions in hashtag #AskStuffandThings. So let's get into it. All right, number one, we have upcoming videos for Stuff and Things. If I can reach back here, I just recorded a video on the Nomad notebooks. These crazy medieval looking, very substantial leather-bound notebooks with very interesting decal-edged pages. I learned a new term today as I was doing this review. Decal-edged. This one has burnt decal-edge pages. I found out some interesting things as I was doing this video. The paper is really high quality in these books. They take fountain pen ink very well. These seem to be really well made and really high quality and pretty interesting. So that video will be posting this coming Wednesday on Stuff and Things. I also recorded a video, if I can reach down and move some things, in which I opened this very large box of amazing goodies. That video will be posting soonish. I'm not exactly sure when, but I just wanted to open this up because frankly, I was quite curious as to what was inside, and I had been saving that for when I could do a video. Suffice to say, there are very, very good things inside this box, so look forward to that. Look out for it on the channel. You will be seeing that soon. This is from a very generous viewer named Mike, by the way. And then, of course, the Valheim series is continuing on Stuff and Things Plays. If you watched last week, you will have seen, I guess it was the week before, towards the end of the week, and then through last week, some very trying times for our good friend Kevin Kevinson, but he's been getting through it. Things are really getting, I mean, the whole series I think has been interesting. I think it's been a really fun game and a really cool series to follow, but the trials and tribulations of Kevin Kevinson / Kevin the Kurt have been quite interesting and quite amusing, and you should check out that series on Stuff and Things Plays. Please. We also posted the review of McConnell Scottish Cake last week, so be sure to check that out if you haven't seen that yet. A very, very interesting blend, and one that I enjoyed quite a bit, and I think people enjoyed the video, so check that out if you haven't yet. All right, so last week I posted the little update about my horrible, horrible week that I was having, getting the vaccine and getting kind of sick, and then having working conditions in the heat, and then having a recurrence of really bad back pain. I was trying to do it in an entertaining way. I thought it would be an interesting thing to talk about. I think most of you enjoyed it. I got some feedback, some people saying, a gentleman never discusses his physical ailments. It's like, okay, sorry, I'm just trying to kind of be funny. Got some interesting reaction, or actually interesting lack of reaction to the little video I posted, the glimpse into the past to when I actually injured my back, which I thought was funny, but I guess nobody else thought it was funny. Some people took it at face value. I think they thought that I was actually working out with a camera on me, and I was just showing you the footage of when it actually happened, and they did not find it odd at all that I had a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger behind me. I don't know. It was meant to be funny. I enjoyed doing that little vignette, that little skit. But no, I don't actually work out with a sweatband over my head and like sweatbands on my wrist and a full like Adidas tracksuit. I don't actually wear those when I work out. I don't have a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger on my wall, which I look at and give a thumbs up to before I work out either. Those things are not true. It was a joke. But some of you were interested to know how I'm doing with my back, and I'm doing pretty well. I took one day off of work that week that I first injured it, and tried to take it as easy as I could. I mean, I still have a very physically demanding job, and so there's only so much you can do. But I sort of tried to limit my activities outside of work, did a lot of stretching, a lot of, massaging myself with my weird knobby foam roller, trying to sleep in positions that would help, did some yoga with my fiance, and I'm to the point now where I'm feeling pretty good. It does seem like it's just on the verge of something happening again, so again, I'm just gonna keep trying to take it easy for a little while, but I'm feeling much, much better than I was, and I think things are looking up, as far as that goes anyway. Speaking of doing things with my fiance, we have a little trip planned. It's gonna be coming up on the weekend of the 25th of June. And I tell you this because, for one, it's just an interesting thing for me to talk about, but two, I may or may not be able to do a Sunday video on that weekend, so I guess it would be the 27th, that Sunday. It depends on how busy the trip is, how much time I'm gonna have to do a Sunday video that weekend, and I may or may not have a Wednesday video the following Wednesday. We'll see. I'm gonna try to get some more stuff recorded, but again, work full time, a lot of stuff going on, so I'll do what I can, but if I'm busy on a weekend, it usually means that I can't record videos during that weekend. But we'll see, just stay tuned. The cool thing is though, we're going to Eastern Washington, to a little town called Winthrop. And for those of you who don't know, Eastern Washington is like a completely different state from Western Washington. I live in Western Washington, to the west of the Cascade Mountains. And to the east of those mountains, the state is like completely different. I mean, you could socially, culturally, politically, and then most especially just in terms of the landscape and the climate. And when I was a little kid, we used to go to Winthrop every single summer because I think it was definitely my grandparents, but then I think some of my uncles also had kind of bought in to a cabin that they had in a little place called Winthrop, or near Winthrop, Washington. And so every summer, all the different cousins and aunts and uncles and everything, they would kind of book time to go to this cabin. And to me, it was the coolest thing in the world when I was a little kid, because Eastern Washington looked to me the way cowboy movies looked, the way I imagined the Old West. And Winthrop, the town, was created, I think there was an actual town in Winthrop, and I think some of the buildings that survived in Winthrop were actually from the 19th century, but they sort of took a ghost town aesthetic and ran with it and created what could only be described as a tourist trap, but as a kid, I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So it looks like an old Western town. All the storefronts, have the big wooden facades, and there's like the saloon and the ice cream parlor, and it just was the coolest place. When I was a kid, they even had fake gunfights in the streets. At certain times of the day, they would do like a stagecoach coming through, and then bandits robbing the stagecoach, and the sheriff coming and then shooting each other. Obviously, I'm sure they don't do that anymore. But it just seemed like the coolest thing. And then the landscape near there, the cabin where we stayed, it didn't have running water, which to me as a kid was cool. I'm sure the adults didn't love that, but we didn't have running water. We had to go into an outhouse to go to the bathroom. The only place you could shower there was like a little swimming pool complex, and I mean a little swimming pool complex in sort of the little development where the cabin was. But it was all dirt roads, it was sagebrush and sand, and compared to Western Washington, which is vibrantly green, wet, and just completely different, Eastern Washington just seemed like a completely different world, and I loved it. It was hot there, hot and dry, and I just felt like I was in the Old West. And that was basically the only place we ever went on vacation. I can't think of any other place we ever went for my entire childhood. And I kept going there all the way up till I was about 16 years old. So I haven't been back there since I was 16. And it just kind of occurred to me, it's like Eastern Washington is only, it's a 3.5-hour drive, whatever, from Bellingham. Let's go visit Winthrop. And actually my fiance was the one who encouraged me, like, yeah, let's go. Let's just go for a night. And so we're gonna be doing that. I'm a little bit apprehensive because, like I said, I haven't been back there since I was 16. This place occupies a very special place in my memory. I look back at it very fondly. I have memories of my grandparents who are both dead now, and spending time with my cousins and my siblings, and it was just the thing I looked forward to all year long. I knew that when school was out, we would get to go to Winthrop, and we would spend, 2-3 weeks there, going swimming at the pool, going fishing with my grandpa, just rambling around through the sagebrush, looking at different bugs and insects and animals that we didn't have in Western Washington. There were rattlesnakes. There was all sorts of things that I loved it. And going back now, I'm a little worried that either it will have changed a lot from what I remembered, or that my memory just won't really... I know that my memory, or that reality, can't hold a candle to what is in my memory. I'm tempted to try to go back and look at the cabin. They sold it when I was in my teens, I think, or maybe it was even in my early 20s. And I think it's still there. I don't know. I'm wondering if it's possible to kind of drive by and take a look, take a picture or something. It's a seasonal thing. Like, most people don't live there year round, at least in this little development. They're usually like vacation cabins that people would go to. Right over Little Twin Lake. There's Big Twin and Little Twin Lake right near there. There's Lake Patterson. We used to go there and fish with my grandpa. We would also go to Carlton on the Methow River where you could fish. I don't know. It was a big deal when I was a little kid. And I remember just the drive there. It seemed like it was the other end of the earth. Because to me at the time, 3 hours or 3.5 hours in a car was just like unheard of. I couldn't believe how long that trip was. And driving over the mountain pass, taking Highway 20 over, going east over the mountains, it was just like I said, just descending into a completely different world. And I'm really looking forward to going there and checking it out. We actually got a hotel just right in downtown Winthrop. So I want to see what businesses are still there. I want to see if it still feels like the same kind of place. We may go by and look at the cabin. We're going to try to go horseback riding. There are several different outfitters there who will do 2-hour rides or whatever. So we're going to try to do that. I'm going to try to take some footage while I'm there, and we might do a video on it. I don't want to be, with a camera in front of my face the whole time because I want to actually experience it. But I'll keep you posted. And just bear in mind that that weekend there may or may not be a Sunday video. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to this quite a bit. If any of you have ever been to Winthrop, Washington, or maybe you live in Eastern Washington, or Twisp is another town near Winthrop, anywhere around there, let me know in the comments below. Is it still the same? Does it still feel like it would have, in the late 90s? Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. So, as I mentioned last week, I got my COVID vaccine, and it has been 2 weeks since I got the vaccine, so I am now officially fully vaccinated. And in some places in Washington, they are going by the CDC guidelines where if you've had the vaccine, you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. And this is up to the different individual businesses. We don't need to talk about the efficacy of masks. We don't need to talk about vaccines, anything like that. I made the decision to get it. But you may or may not agree with that, but it's been interesting going into these places where they have a sign on the door that says no mask needed if you're fully vaccinated. Not wearing a mask, I don't. If they say that I don't have to, I don't wear one. I've never worn one outside, ever, throughout this entire pandemic because there's basically zero transmission outside whatsoever, and it seems completely unnecessary to wear a mask outside. And so when I would go inside, pretty much anywhere, I'd have to wear a mask. And now you don't necessarily have to do that everywhere. And it's kind of ambiguous sometimes. You might go into a place, I always have one ready in case I need it, but you might go in, sometimes there's a sign, sometimes there isn't a sign, and you just get this vibe. Like, I went into a convenience store and nobody was wearing a mask. I'm like, okay, so that probably means I'm fine not to wear a mask in here. And then you might go into a different store, and even if they have the sign that says that they're following the CDC guidelines, you might be getting dirty looks from people if you're not wearing a mask. But I don't really want to talk about that. The big thing to me is just, I'm now having social interactions with people where I can see their faces, and that you kind of forget how important that is for nuance of meaning and just to connect to people. And it's really been interesting to me, and maybe it's just something I'm noticing and it was always the case, but it certainly seems like people are so much more friendly now. And maybe it is just because I can see their faces, or maybe it's a result of people, you know, finally feeling like they're connecting with people again, seeing strangers and actually being able to see them smile. And, you know, I'm smiling at people probably more than I used to or before all this happened. And it seems like people are smiling at me a lot more. The interactions I'm having within the grocery store where, you know, if somebody's in the way or you're, you know, you bump into somebody, like everything just seems to be much more polite and friendly and civil. And I hope that this continues. And maybe it is just all in my head and it's just a result of the masks coming down and being able to see people, and maybe people were always this polite and always this friendly, but it does seem like it's a bit heightened now. And I just hope that maybe, at least for a little bit, people will be able to appreciate connecting with their fellow human beings and maybe start to lessen some of the vitriol, some of the contention that just seemed to have permeated all of our societies, or at least American society, during this pandemic. And just remember, be reminded of the fact that other people are other people, and you can have great interactions with those other people, no matter what their beliefs may be, no matter who they may be. When you get to take the mask off and see their faces, you can see their smile, hopefully, maybe give them a smile back. I think it can foster just a better public discourse and a better mood throughout society. And it's been really nice. I've really been enjoying that. I don't know if any of you, depending on where you live and what's going on, whether you're vaccinated, all that good stuff, if you've had experiences, you know, where it seems as though there's a little bit more friendliness, a little bit more bonhomie going on in society, let me know in the comments below as well. I'd like to hear about that. But now, gang, it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. If you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, tweet at SAT Bradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Also, you can leave comments on YouTube videos. I try to weed through those. Weed sounds bad. I try to go through those and pick out questions. And then if you are a Patreon supporter, you can ask me questions on there as well. But this week, via Twitter, we have a question from Turf Smurf at BSSmurf1974. Turf says, "Hi Bradley, I just heard that Elden Ring is out on January 21st next year. Elden Ring is the new From Software game, and I played quite a few From Software games on the Stuff and Things Plays channel, including Dark Souls, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and Sekiro. That's where Kevin came from. Kevin the Kurt was from Dark Souls 3. Didn't know if you had heard or not. I know I'm going to order it the second it goes on pre-sale. The obvious question is, will you be playing it on SAT Plays?" Yes, I'm definitely going to be playing it. I don't know. I know that it's coming out on the previous generation of consoles, the PS4 and stuff. If there is a significant improvement, if it's on PS5, I may wait until I someday get a PS5. I don't know when I ever will, but we'll see. And it's coming out in January, so that's, you know, quite a ways ahead. I definitely will be playing it. I just don't know if I'll be playing it as soon as it releases. Next, from Paul Dene, or Dene, I never know exactly how to pronounce your last name. I'm sorry, Paul. At Paul De Bruni. "Hi, Bradley. Enjoyed Kevin's amusing antics and your grim pallor after getting trolled." Talking about recent Valheim episodes on Stuff and Things Plays. "It was funny on this side, and I bet you were looking for a cloud to shout at. Question, do you do any of the intros, outros? If not, who? Guitar was good, though." So I'm not sure if you're talking about the intros and outros, the musical intros and outros on the Stuff and Things Plays videos. Those are definitely just from the YouTube song library. I just picked those out. On the main channel, I do a couple. Well, I guess the only one left that I still have on videos now is for the pipe blend review videos. That is still one of my songs. Everything else, I'm trying to remember now. I think everything else is just from the YouTube audio library. But thanks for the question, Paul. Next, via YouTube comments, this is from Sajad Hussein. Very cool review of an attractive pen. He was talking about my review of the Lamy Studio fountain pen, which I have right here. I'm considering buying this particular studio pen, not least because it looks like the best of all the other studios, and it doesn't have the unsightly, shiny, smooth chrome section, which I dislike. The section being the part that you grip upon. But if you see this comment, could you kindly tell me if the black section on this pen is soft rubber or polished plastic? It will be one factor influencing my decision to eventually buy this pen or not. Again, many thanks for the ace review. Thanks for the question, Sajad. It does not have a plastic section. You can see this, maybe. It is a rubber, but it's kind of a hard rubber, and it seems quite durable. But it does give a little bit more grip, and it is a little bit softer than a hard plastic section would be. And I quite like it, so I think you will like it as well. Next, from Tim Taylor. What do you think about soaking old pipes in whiskey to revive them? Now, Tim, I assume you don't mean that you're filling a bowl with whiskey and dropping the entire pipe in there. Don't do that. You definitely don't want to do that. I'm assuming that you mean either getting a pipe cleaner or something, dipping it in the whiskey and cleaning out the bowl, letting it soak in a little bit in the bowl. You're not putting it on the stummel or the outside of the pipe. That's good. People do that. It does sweeten the pipe. If you get if you notice that you're getting kind of an acrid taste, or if it seems like it's smoking a lot more wet or wetly, doing a treatment with a grain alcohol can definitely help. Next, from Scott M. Does anything else new come to mind as your go-to tea blend 5 years later? This was when I was talking about Elizabethan mixture, well, yeah, I guess 5 years ago as my favorite everyday blend. No, it's still Elizabethan mixture. It's still my number one. Last, from Scott D. What if you created a tea-only YouTube channel and do all your reviews and stuff there? Then you could run Stuff and Things without fear of being demonetized. Just a thought. Thanks, Scott, for the question. It's something I have considered, and I don't know if any of you were around, or I'm sure some of you were around, back when I used to do Stuff and Things Plays, the gameplay videos on the main Stuff and Things channel. And at the time, there were quite a few people who were annoyed by game videos being posted on this channel, for whatever reason, but I guess I kind of understand that. And I just thought it was best to break out that gameplay content and put it on its own channel. Ever since I've done that, I get far fewer views on those game videos than I used to get when I had them on this channel, but it's fine. It's something I've considered, breaking away the tea content, but I'm already having a hard time keeping up with 2 YouTube channels and a full-time job and a relationship and social obligations and everything else that I've got going on in my life. I just don't know that I could do 3 different channels and then give each one of those channels individually the time and attention it needed. So I don't know, maybe sometime in the future I will have the bandwidth to be able to do that, but for now I think I kind of have to keep Stuff and Things as one thing and not have a separate tea channel. But it's a suggestion I've definitely thought about, and it's something that I'll probably revisit later. We'll see. But thank you all for the questions. Remember, I love your questions. Please keep sending them in. But gang, I think it's time for the best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. If you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and your support makes so much possible for both of my channels. It makes the lights that are shining upon me right now possible. It makes the camera that is recording this video possible. It makes it possible for me to buy blends for review and other products. It is so helpful and much appreciated, and we thank you so much for your support. And every week, we like to shout out the people who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Kirk Crompton, Private Eye, Glenn, Jason Buckner, Jen O'Side, John Leone, Krisztian Kovacs, Joshua Jackson, Gloria Phillips, Ryan McFadin, Matt Marino, and Joe Heaphy. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month. People like our good friend Peter Straub, stolid, dependable Bob Magee, and David Gaudreau. Thank you all so much. It's so much appreciated, and we appreciate everyone who supports us on Patreon, no matter what tier you happen to be at. And we also appreciate the people who like these videos, who share these videos, who subscribe to the channel, who leave comments, who send questions in to #AskStuffandThings. It is all super appreciated. Please watch the Nomad notebook video, which is coming up this Wednesday. Stay tuned for the massive box opening, which will be coming up soon. Kevin Kevinson's adventures continue on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Stuff and Things Plays in Valheim. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.